Give it up for Cryptic's Cystorm. And his opponent up here in the top, all the way from Edmonton, is Oiltown. Okay, so we've seen Cystorm, how he likes to play it. Stargate is his main focus. We've seen him kind of switch it up with a bit of a later adept timing off the back of Stargate, which I'm not 100% certain will work as well, since Oiltown has been pretty good about keeping himself safe versus that early aggression. He's been getting that early Baneling nest, which has allowed him to kind of just keep the opponent back. Obviously, Banelings can be really good on creep versus adepts. So that's just something we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Check this. Team DMing me for literally no reason. But yeah, you know, the English. It's only my first language, but the cybernetics core is down. We should be seeing him throw down his tech here pretty quickly, as that adept kind of telling me that it's more than likely gonna be that Stargate. And this probe just gonna be a little bit of a scout, sees when the lings are popping, and will pop itself like a Christmas. So Oil does see the fact that there is a warp gate on the way. That's a pretty big red flag for him, because warp gate coming in early, before any sort of tech, such as Stargate and such, does mean that your opponent wants to go a little bit aggressive. So he's gonna have to keep an eye out for that. Question is, will he move in with this Overlord, or will he just wait till the Oracle comes across the map to kind of recognize that this is indeed the case? The question for Cystorm is if he's going to get the Void Ray behind it and go into double start. The Adepts do manage to get in. They will focus fire down one drone. The second will fall before his partner gets on out. Overall, decent start from both sides. Neither one has really taken any damage. It's kind of just this slower build-up as they're kind of getting their build orders set. You see Cystorm going to be going for that Twilight Council behind that. Watch out for Glaives, as I don't see a Robo facility coming in. Okay, looks like be able to get his third off the back of this, and yeah, there you go. It's going to be a very aggressive glaive opening, so Oil will want to kind of get wind of that. He instantly throws down the Roche Warren, which is a really good start, but he's just got to make sure to actually get enough to, you know, hold on and defend, because that was kind of the problem with the last opponent. He just didn't make enough before the Adepts really hit. Oil as well, just getting that creep spread very far out as quickly quickly as possible, giving him a much needed advanced warning system. They're going to be... Well, he sees the Void Ray coming across, and he is making a big round of Lings, which is really good. That's something you just really need. Question. Hasn't really seen too much. There you go, the big Adept's gonna be coming on in. The first Queen does fall. He gets us around. There's just not enough Lings to effectively defend. The Roaches not out just yet, and this was the big problem. You just delayed it for so long. Drones get a good pull, but the Roaches gonna try and fight this alone. Those will start to go down. I mean, Oil. Starting... You know, he fell apart just a little bit. He has to get more Roaches, but that's going to delay his economy, which he now must rebuild. And he's losing so many Roaches that there is no possibility of a counterattack, giving Cystorm the time to go up to this Charge Lot Archon army. Now the Adepts do decide to go home, so after losing 14 workers, Oiltown will finish the hold. But even then, he's not done. He's still going to be aggressively kind of sending these shades in, putting on the illusion of more attacks coming in. This Voider as well, kind of just being a nuisance. I think it's got a couple of Overlords for its trouble. Queen cancels your shade. We'll be able to clean this base out of its couple of workers, but now we'll need to shade out in order to get past the Roaches. Things trying to get this around, so he will lose maybe 1 or 2. But the fact that those are still alive means that he can augment his next big attack. And yeah, just overall making the right moves. Oiltown does have a big army. He has cut drones on 62. And he is just pumping out tons of Roaches. He's getting the Baneling Nest as well. So he is looking to be aggressive. Do that counter damage as soon as possible. On the other side of the map, there is Storm and Charge. But if he can overwhelm Cystorm with just pure numbers, that's going to be his best opportunity. Army to reckon with. Now, this isn't the German taxi because the Queens are not with it. Trying to fight up the ramp, he will lose access to a ton of his Lings. And now he's going to have to rotate around to the third base if he wants to get up the ramp. Keep in mind there's no sentries with this, so he will be able to do so. And this actually sets up a very dangerous proposition for Cystorm. The proposition that the Lings, once they are unfrozen, he will be surrounded. A couple of big storms nailing these Ravagers. The Roaches kind of just tanking what they can. And the Archons will be enough to kind of push this back. On the other side of things, the Void Ray going to be killing off what he can. 5 workers have gone down. Okay, there are the Queens. They're a little bit late to the party. We'll have to see if he's actually going to utilize them. It looks like he's just going to be sending them home. The Zealots getting on top of what they can. They will take out a couple of these additional Roaches. And I think with more Warpins, that's going to be enough because he is just absolutely blanketing this army with storms. Every time that oil moves in, it's a very Pyrrhic forward movement for him. We do see Cystorm going to be going up to that Stargate play. He's got 3 on the field, getting those upgrades, and he will be transitioning into the carriers very, very soon, which means that this semi all-in from Oiltown really is gonna have to win very, very soon. He's gonna have to rely on the fact that Cystorm wants to use that gas somewhere else, but here we go. The High Templars getting cleaned up. Actually, there's not enough energy for a storm, so it looks like Oil has pushed his way through, decimated the army of Cystorm, and that might actually just be it here. Yeah, there you go. GG is called. Even though he was making Void Rays, he just wouldn't have been able to destroy those roaches in time to make it worth it. And sorry, get in my dang chair here because VR workouts earlier. And now we're going to be going on to Oxide, a bit of a smaller map. When you think of all-ins, when you think of things like the German Taxi, this is the map you really expect that kind of stuff. You know what? Cystorm is going to have to adapt a little bit to his opponent because, you know, he's just going to have to get those transitions a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker. Otherwise, he's just going to get overwhelmed. Players all ready up. Oil's ready. Psy is ready. Let's get that countdown. And now, spawning in the bottom position of Oxide, he is teal and he is real. Give it up for the Edmonton Oiltown. And his opponent up here in the top position. Give it up for our red Protoss Cystorm. A win behind Void Ray, Void Ray, Void Ray. I kind of agree with you on that one. Kind of lost so much gas in those High Templar, and it wasn't kind of consistent damage. He was relying too heavily on the storms in order to bring his way back into them. So I think that gas would have been better utilized either in the air or, you know, just in something else. Taking that low ground expansion, which will allow him to get that creep spread much. As you guys know, Zerg's best friend is a creep highway right down the center of the map. Oxide as well is really good for it because if you can get creep out to here, you've got 3 different angles that you can attack into, and it's just really difficult. Now, I don't think Cystorm is going to be changing things up too much. I'm pretty certain, like 99%, that he's just going to go straight back into Stargate play. And that kind of seems to be his main motto, is stick with what works, even if it doesn't. That's not saying anything bad against him at all. That's just saying like I would love to see some kind of timings with either like a robo facility, maybe some DTs, just something. I gotta say, that's the one thing that I'm surprised about. I don't think we've seen a cheese other than the very first game of the night all day. Out to up. The question is, will it be Oracle Void Ray or Void Ray Oracle? That's kind of been the two big ones. No Phoenix for this guy. An Oracle. Now these Adepts kind of just flailing around, looking for damage wherever they can get it. Well, they will pick off a Ling here and there, but I doubt they will really get any drone counts. As we do see Oil a little bit supply blocked at before. He's got to start a couple of additional Overlords, while he's also going to be moving across the map before that third base goes down. And he will catch the Adepts and even the Probe. Really good surrounds there by Oil to get both of those Adepts. Going to be delaying that third base for as long as possible. The Oracle get some good damage though, as there's no Spore Crawlers at this location. He was focusing so heavily on the front. Now he does see that it's Void Ray once again, so that's going to prompt him to instantly throw down that Roach Warren. He knows what works for this, and this time I don't want to see him delay for too much longer. Gateways. I think that Void Ray hasn't actually found this one Overlord. That's literally its entire job, is to kill that off. As the Oracle gonna get really, really bruised before getting on out. Yeah, it's gonna be Adept Glaive again. This time he is gonna be adding on those additional Void Rays to help out. So that is one big change, which I'm really glad to see. Let's see how it kind of goes down, because the Queens will be able to move across the map still. So it might not be the biggest of differences, but breaking down the rocks, that's a pretty big deal, because that's going to open up a very large avenue where he can kind of just seesaw and rotate around this position. Like, I like this. This is the first bunch of Stalkers that I've seen out of him. Out in the main base of that Roach Warren, I believe. Yeah, he knows what's up. So he knows that mixing it up is going to help out, but the Queens are already all the way over here. The Void Ray getting very low. That would have been a beautiful pickup. Here we go. Have waddled their way across. The army supplies are actually pretty even, 106 to 102. Oiltown just has 10 more workers. He's a little bit too far forward. They will have to use that transfuse very early. He's going to warp in a couple of Zealots, but will get some great Ravager Biles now. Shield battery overcharge is popped, so he will have to fight down here on the low ground, but he has essentially cut the army off from the natural. And he will get that Oracle as well with that big bile. So now Oil really pushing Cystorm back quite hard. Those biles are just so beautiful. The Void Rays, they are falling in droves. And as the Link's gonna just start to reinforce this, he's coming up the ramp. Those shield batters are out of energy. And Cystorm, his supply has plummeted. We should be seeing more than likely the tap out here very, very soon. As the third base goes down, Oil finding his advantages wherever he can. I'm loving this aggression out of him, making sure that his opponent does not think he's safe to tech up. He's not even making any more additional Void Rays. He's trying to get out the gateway so that he can kind of survive a little bit. This is pretty much it. Take a look at this. Shift B. Just very cost efficient this entire time. Now the Lings, they do get in, and they will be fighting under that popped shield battery overcharge. So that's not the most ideal thing, but the wall has been broken, and that is finished for that full energy shield battery. Last Void Ray goes down, and finally we get the GG Oiltown. 2 very quick, methodical victories here with those very crisp timings. Submarine for our 3rd map of the day. I would like to once again thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing this tournament to you. I love pretty much everything that Sugar does. He is really bringing such a diverse series of games, bringing a lot of attention to the North American scene. Got the ready from both sides. All map. Aggressive Zerg. Need I say more? Also, when this game starts, I'm going to turn on my lights and get dark here. EST world. Up, let me players. Quick. Spawning. Down here in the bottom position of Submarine. Give it up for Cystorm. And his opponent. Up here in the top. With a 12 pool. He is Oiltown. Alright, be right back in 30 seconds. More like 13 as no, we do have that probe going to be coming across the map. That is going to be a pretty big tell that Cystorm will have to throw down the remainder of his wall. He has to stay safe for this, because if those Lings get in, there's pretty much very little ways that you can get them out. Remember, you need a cybernetics core to actually build any batteries. So it's just such a yeah, he's gonna try and block off that pylon on the ramp for as long as possible. But keep in mind, Oiltown is not completely all in with this. But what he is he's delaying his economy for such a long time in order to make this work. So he's gotta get some probe kills here, like a lot of probe kills, in order to make it worth it. Now that Zealot being a little bit adventurous, trying to find some good connections on these Lings, just trying to make sure that they don't break their way in either. I like how Oiltown is positioning his units in order to kind of just open up the ramp wherever he can, but now the Zealots are in sufficient numbers in order to get in. But he will be able to this up back, and Oiltown is just droning up behind it. Keep in mind, he does not have gas, so he will be able to throw down his 3rd relatively soon, I'd imagine. Definitely, you don't want to stay on 2 bases versus a Protoss player. Like, we're going to see a little bit of a poke out, very greedy poke out from 2 Adepts and a Zealot. So now Cystorm is changing things up, and I love it. He is adapting his strategy here, going for the Twilight Council first. Jaden, those are not too long for this build. Yeah, with the Twilight Council, he can go into the Adept Glaives once again. He can hit a little bit harder, a little bit quicker than going on after Stargate, which will help out quite a bit. Okay, looks like he is a little bit indecisive here, and is instead going to go straight for the DT timings. They're going to be pressing the front. That Zealot on hold position is going to hold down the wall. The probes are pulled just to finish up everything. Force a warp in, and will he actually be able to get through? It looks like the answer is no? Question mark? But luckily for him, he will get a pretty good scout out on the map. He sees the Robo facility. He's going to see the Dark Shrine in just a second. And once you see that, I mean, you're pretty much golden, because you can instantly start your lair for Overseers. You drop down a Spore Crawler in every single base, and you can, I mean, you can get the roaches in position. Orbit has been spotted down here at the bottom. Setting up for a little bit of a backstab, which is nice, but he's just got to make sure that he has enough back at home. He's going to be coming out a little bit further forward just to make sure that he can get on top of that. Does he have a Spore? He does. Okay, good. Okay, he changed that. He had a Spore, so he's gonna have to sacrifice this base for just a little bit longer. Does he have his? Yeah, he's got the Overseer on the way, so he does have Lair. I was a little bit curious about that. Queen, that's pretty nice. Now, the biggest problem for Cystorm is he's not going to be able to kind of follow this up with an adept build, an adept drop, just because he did lose all of those dark. Sorry, I forget English like about 3 times a day. It's only my first language too, but yeah, now you got to warp in more Dark Templars if you want to get the Archon. So you're going to be a little bit delayed. It's going to cost you a little bit of extra money. Just not really worth it when you're going to be going up to potentially Colossus. I'd imagine that's the next move here for him, as we do see the immortal count just going to grow to save himself from the roaches. Have is up as well. His 4 just completed for that +1. Oil will have his just a little bit. That Warprism really just not doing anything out here on the other side. He wants to maybe get in there, warp in some Zealots, kind of pull the army around as Oil tries to attack. Yeah, kind of just peaceful. The calm before the storm. Archives. Get charge. He did indeed. Should be seeing Storm start pretty soon, as he's been utilizing that to great effect in these fights. I mean, just another way to make Archons is really important so that you can spend that gas efficiently. Like 50, it's only 50 minerals for a High Templar, but 150 gas. So it's kind of the best gas sink that you can get because you not only get so many good abilities, but then you also have the ability to morph them into a splash damage juggernaut. Station pit looks like Cystorm is going to be trying to move out. He can, as long as he avoids these open areas, he should be okay. You got to be careful for the round as well. Being in. We go. First Zealot charge is going to be pulled back. Bile's actually hitting a couple of the forward units. 13 more roaches are going to be on the way, so Defender's Advantage is hopefully going to be strong enough for him. Looks like the force fields coming on down, being broken by the Archons and the Biles. There's not that much energy left, but Oil has to be careful with how far he engages into this. He can't really fight that many Immortals with this number of roaches, and we do see a small Zealot run by going to be coming in, trying to pick off some of those reinforcements. Going straight for the main base, so they won't really get too much done. That warp them. Oh my goodness. Gotta utilize it a little bit more. Over here, Oil is getting cleaned out. But he will be able to push this back, maybe get 1 or 2 Immortals for his trouble. Force Field's actually helping him out quite a bit, because it means the Zealots don't really have the surface area that you would expect. Okay. Yeah, he killed his own Immortal. Hold that thought. The Bile's going to be coming down, cleaning. Going to try and finish off the rest of this army. We do have that one Disruptor coming in. If he can get a beautiful connection, that is going to be an absolute steal. Oh my goodness. But the question is it enough? He's down over 60 army supply right now, and that was his one Disruptor. Field battery overcharge is popped, but he is fighting outside of its range. Roach is just going to focus fire down to Zealots so they can't make use of that. Gets the kill. Another big Disruptor ball might be in the cards. Oil doesn't really split versus it. But the question is, does it really matter? Because look at this, 74 to 30 army supply. And he doesn't have Storm, doesn't have Archons. He is relying on these hits. Make no mistake, they're beautiful hits. But every single time he makes the hit, they die, they're finished. They get one shot and they're done. And now Cystorm goes up to match point. Ladies and gentlemen, can this man be stopped? Cystorm is throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him, but he is not. He is not being phased. Next map, we're only on map number 4, Death Aura. Yeah, you know what? I was thinking the same thing. It is a little bit off meta to have that kind of robo push with the very heavy sentry pressure. I actually haven't seen that since the end of Heart of the Swarm. Like, that's how long ago it was when I saw that. But you know what, guys? I think these guys are gonna need your energy, because even though it is the potential / last game. Cystorm still has the potential to make it back and get the reverse sweep. He's going to need all of your energy to do so, and I'm going to send as much energy as I can through this potentially last game. Every time I say potentially, you got to take a shot. New drinking game because I repeat it so often. You guys can't hear it, but we've got the boom, boom, boom of the countdown timer. Oiltown eats Novas for breakfast. I think that's the best way that I've heard it said all day, mainly because that's the only way I've heard it said all day. You know what, guys? Let's introduce spawning. Up here in the top position, he needs your energy. He needs to win the next 4. Give it up for Cryptics. Cystorm. And his opponent looking to close things out. He has been incredibly powerful in this series. He is Oiltown. I too repressed 2019. You know what? 2019 doesn't exist. Everything that happens after 2020, a year like 2020, just gets absolutely decimated in my memory because I don't remember anything but last year. Like, I don't even know how I got here to this desk. But you know what? Cystorm is just going to start this off as usual. He's going to be being a little bit of a nuisance. Got the probe down. He will get the wall Nexus first. So he is going to be able to kind of stay equal into that economy. Oh, I did not notice that it was all Canadian as well. So, you know what? I think these guys know what they're talking about. They go through with their next big one. Now, I'm not sure, excuse me. I'm not sure if Cystorm was kind of just playing to the map on Submarine, going for that kind of robo push rather than going into the Stargate. I don't know if he's going to be throwing down a Stargate in this game. But I think he's going to have to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, he's going for Stargate again. We might see him probably pull out the 6 Void Ray push. Just because it's a little bit more powerful. It's a little bit easier to kind of get that early damage and deny vision. Oiltown for Asai. Oh, that 90-second chat delay. I'm now seeing the results of my. But yeah, like he just really hasn't been finding much headway with the Oracle, with the Void Ray, because Oiltown keeping his vision very close to his chest and on the ground when he does decide to go out. Beta Ray first. That is a good sign. Do you want to bet that he is just waiting to take out that Overlord, that he can throw down his next stage? Got one additional gateway, which is kind of interesting. And he really hasn't thrown down anything else, so this is kind of going to just prompt Oiltown to go for a little bit of a push onto the third base, see what he can get done. You know, he will get on top of this Adept, but not really a lot of surface area, especially with the probe out in front. So that will go down. Currently not... Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was actually expecting this. Double Void Ray is going to be coming on out. He will go up to about 6 and then get that transition into Charge Lot Archon. So not really a surprise these days. Still, it's a pretty fun one to watch. Again, Oil kind of slipping there, not having that Spore Crawler in position. Will lose 2 workers. Flying around, and now Oil doesn't have any additional information past that first Stargate, so he's really gonna have to want to get that confirmation on that relatively soon, because if you do allow them to get up to that 6 Void Ray count, that's when they can really just start pumping out additional on the ground. Go. This is kind of the first time that he sees how many Void Rays are out. Oh, sorry, Canadian finals. Boot. The Boomer right there. These guys really just need to sync up with these other 2. I feel he's going to try and fight the Queens, but there's plenty of transfuse energy off this. And you know what? Oiltown is set. He has cut drones at 63 just to pump out enough Hydralisks to not only deal with this, but put on that counter damage. Remember, the best way to deal with this is to hit your opponent hard before they can really get too much done. Doesn't get a cancel, he gets a kill on the 4th. The Void is going to be looking for more work to do. Charge about halfway complete. The additional gateways being popped. Plus 1 attack. About halfway done. Now Oiltown is going to have to just like fly around, try and fight these guys while also trying to take his base. One of the Void Rays is going to get poked down just a little bit, but just a chip on the paint. Have everything kind of shaping up. Not really much else to say at this point. Really comes out full swing. We have Banelings. We do have a ton of Hydralisks on the way. I just got to emphasize the fact that he is done making drones for right now. We'll actually get a couple of quick kills on those Void Rays. Second one does survive just barely. Oh my goodness. The Hydras aren't in position right here. I am going to cry because that is a healthy supply block. You know, Cystorm does have his storm complete now. He will be able to have enough Archons. I think Oiltown did get his Baneling speed upgrade. He does have that Baneling nest ready to go. Transfuse is as well going to save that queen for as long as possible. But you can see he's kind of just edging on the edge of the creep here, just making sure, or just getting ready for this big committed push. And there you have it. 19 Banelings going to be coming down. He is going to go for it very, very soon. I love the fact that he's going for this very open area as well. This is going to allow him to get a very strong concave. Will kind of mitigate some of that storm damage. Got to be careful going up the ramp, because he will lose a bunch of Zerglings before the fight really begins. But he will be able to get up the ramp before being forced down by the storms. So he will retreat to the bottom. But the reinforcements are going to swell across. Revelation going right down right there. The Void Rays as well, getting some good work in. Like Oil has had enough of this little expedition. Will retreat the creep. Might want to wait for Queens. I don't think he's really going to have the time to. Got the infestation pit. Got the lurker den. Sorry about that. Had to mute for a coughing session as Cystorm. Going to be going for a couple of different angles of attack, just trying to pull this army apart. For Oiltown, buy himself some much needed transitional room. We do see the carrier count start to come in, and while he does have the infestation pit, he's not going up to Hive, even though he has the curse. Never mind. But, you know, he just wants to do that because he needs the lurkers to help deal with whatever's on the ground. And the upgrades are so crucial for making that work. And now the Void Rays go a little bit too far forward. Oh no, oil. Stops that. By the way, there is a delay, so they can't hear me. So I'm not... I'm not tipping off any of the players, by the way. Job of keeping all these Hydralisks back at home. I think Sai, at this point, now that he's almost maxed out, kind of has a really good army composition to deal with this. Oil's been stuck on 168 for a while. He's not, and he's still not really making drones. He's not going up to 80. That might not seem like the biggest of deals, but it is when you're making 14 lurkers at a time. You can't just trade out workers like you can for SCVs. In Terran, trying to find an angle as well. The creep doing a very good job of showing where Cystorm is. Both players are almost completely maxed out, as he's going to get on top of the fifth base, get a really quick cancel. What Cystorm do? Doesn't have any vision here other than the Oracle, so he's gonna have to rely on the Revelation. I don't know if he's seen the lurkers yet either. He can kind of assume that there's something like them. Oh, but here we go. Seismic Spines is complete, so they will have range. The Revelation does go down on top of a good chunk of these lurkers. Storm gonna be baited out there by a couple of Hydralisks in the front. Mothership Core will cloak everything, but here we go. Some stormy weather coming on down. Oracle actually gets popped right there. Now keep in mind, we did see 3 robo facilities go down, so maybe a disruptor switch to deal with the positional lurkers. I'm just wondering when he's going to go in with these. Okay, so now Sai, he's not going to get starved out because he does have that 5th base up and mining. Very interesting to see that there's no Vipers in play. I feel like a couple of Yoinks would be fantastic for him, as you can get rid of that Mothership Core. You can kind of drop down the parasitic bombs as well. Just do what you can. Ooh, these carriers. Here we go. The lurkers do get stormed all over. I don't think he actually has any vision anymore. Yeah, the observers. Okay, he does have 2 observers with this. Never mind. Oiltown taking not the best engagement for him. He will have to retreat, and he is just going to remax on 34 additional Hydralisks right there. Kind of taking a look at the battle report. Only losing 1 carrier and a couple of Archons. I think those are fantastic trades for him. He really doesn't have enough to kind of attack into this. The Remax is going to be so strong. Doesn't actually have an Overseer, so he will the Lurker. The Ling's trying to find some areas to work on as well, but his own 5th base will get killed off. Fortunately, there's just so many choke points right here that it's hard to say where he should really engage into. Looks like he's just going to try and dive right on top of this. That is a bit of a mistake, as the Storm's going to blanket him, and as he falls below 100 supply, GG is called. Cystorm finally putting himself on the board. A couple of different little small mistakes here and there. I feel like he did have the opportunity to kind of move in before that carrier count got too large, before Storm was really finished. But you know what? I can't doubt him for that. It went a little bit too well. Wasn't a ground army to use them. Map number 5 will be Lightshade. Make sure you guys check out the Matcherino page for this event, as it does have some pretty good stuff on there. Helps out by getting 50 cents to the prize pool with the code 2021 Contender 1. I know it's a mouthful, but it's a mouthful that adds of the players. Guy is still on match point, but he is got to close it out. Spawning up here in the top, representing Edmonton, he is Oiltown. And his opponent up here in the top, starting his comeback run, he is Cystorm. Living up to his name, that is correct, Sushi. Up on hour 4 of the cast, nothing but guys really living up to the hype that the season has brought them, all battling it out for that $25 prize pool. Yes, it is $25, but you know what? That's $25 I can buy for a lot. That is a week of groceries in some places. They're definitely giving it their all, no matter what the prize pool is. Pylon going to go down. He does get the cancel, so he does get a little bit of a refund. That's a lot of Lings pushing their way across. So now we kind of play this little game with the Zealot going to be coming on out. He will get surrounded by one of those Lings. The second Zealot actually not going to pop in the right place, so the Adept will be without support. Cancels the Pylon, rebuilds it. Just trying to keep this alive. The Adept will pop, and that's finally going to be a hold. That Adept plugging the wall with its own body. I agree. All-ins can be pretty strong, especially when your opponent is trying to tech up quite heavily, so they kind of halt themselves with their army production in order to make it work. And I think that's kind of why those games look so powerful. 2 Chipotle meals. Oh yeah, that's right. Chipotle. Expensive as hell. Stargate. I don't think anyone expected different. Okay, so nothing too much else to say right now. Kind of just a build up. We do have a Void Ray first. That's more than likely going to Oracle. Whether he continues production after that, anyone's guess. The Adepts will be able to find their way in. 4 worker kills. Focus firing down a 5th. Before getting taken down, he's definitely not going to be able to shade his way out of this one. Like, this is just going to be a normal transition with that Twilight Council. More than likely Adept Glaives, just based on how many he's making. 1 pixel away from seeing that. That would have been pretty nice. Actually, did he see... No, he did not see the Twilight Council going down. So he has no idea that the Adept Glaive is going to be the next choice. But he already does have the roaches on the way. And so he'll be pretty safe. I'm very confident that he's not going to die to the Adept Glaives. Out around. And just kind of see steps. While that's not the super telling thing, still pretty patient because that opens up what could happen. They're on the way. Speed will be finished up. Maybe gonna throw down a Baneling Nest, but I would like to see him at least get a couple of rudimentary roaches because Glaives is about to finish up. And once that finishes, you don't have units in position. That's when the snowball can really start to take effect. Yeah, he's still not producing anything. He's just droning up as heavily as possible. Oh man, this is probably not good. What does he have? He has those 7 queens, and that is it. Drones are going to have to be pulled from this location. Trying to focus fire down with the queens, but the transfuse a little bit too good. The 2 drones going down so far, but this is the rocket fire here. Like he's going to be going into the Void Ray play right after this as well. So kind of just interesting moves. He's going for the 3rd. Oh my goodness, you need a transfuse. Does not get it though. Cystorm battling his way back in a very big way these last couple of games. Now you have a couple of options here, and it looks like he's going to take the option of, I'm going to kill you now before you can get up anything else. Unfortunately, he doesn't have roach speed, so these queens are going to be completely vulnerable. Oh my goodness, things are going from bad to worse for Oiltown. Transfuse is going to save what he can before the roaches can get in there, but they are out of energy, except for that one in the back. Now the Void Ray count is getting bigger and bigger back at home. I don't know if Oil really has a window this time in order to attack. Oil does not have speed either. So his roaches, his reinforcements, are going to be so slow to make it across. Charge is complete as well. The army supplies 75 to 61, and that's not really indicative of a good attack position. Ooh, little late on the pullback though, so one of those Void Rays will go down very, very quickly. Trying to fight into an overcharged shield battery. Want to pull away from that. You can't be fighting in there. Transfuse the queens. That's the only thing you have. Oh no, as soon as those queens go down, this attack is pretty much dead in the water. He's going to have to find some value for it, but you can see the production tab. He's making absolutely nothing. Look at these supply 80 to 123. He's going to try desperately to drone up behind it. Behind in every single way now, and I think Cystorm can actually just push his way across the map because there won't be any queens, there won't be any Hydralisks, there will be absolutely nothing to stop him. Yeah, there you go. GG is called. As he is really fighting his way back in this series. He's got a lot, he doesn't have that long to go, actually. As we're hopping into game number 6, we are coming to the end of our NA Contender Season 1 journey, and what a journey it has been tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to this journey. Hopping into pillars, like I said, if these guys are ready. Well, oh, wrong lobby. Right. I made the wrong lobby there. Sorry about that, guys. We got the go-go on the right condition, as this is West versus East. Countdown has begun. Is this the final game? Will Cystorm pull us to the ace match? Stick around to find out, as these guys are giving it their all for the finale. In fact, I'm going to update the... Done that when started, but you know what? Not that the big a deal. What is a big deal, however, is that down here in the top position, spawning in for Cryptic Gaming, he needs your energy to keep this series going. It is Cystorm. And his opponent up here in the bottom. Gonna roll with it. Give it up for Oiltown. Oil already getting delayed on that natural, going straight to the third base so that his economy does not take that hit. Cystorm, as we've seen, all it takes is getting that couple minutes extra of minutes where he's able to get up to that charge, to that void ray, that really Oil just had so many problems dealing with. And especially if he gets up to carriers. Oh my goodness. So the turning point was when he doesn't build the roaches in time. That's really all it comes down to. If those roaches were just a couple of seconds earlier, it would have been perfect. Flawless. It would have been a hold, and he would have been able to push those queens across the map with not that much resistance. Taking a look at taking strength here. He speed at a good timing. And once he has speed up, he's going to get the queens as well. He pretty much has everything going on for him. And once again, it's, you know, I wasn't unexpecting that. Stargate. This is his go-to. And you can't fault him for it. It can be pretty powerful, as we've seen. Question is, what's going to be coming up behind it? Will we see that Twilight Council, the Adepts? That's kind of what's been getting him back into this series. Will he just go straight into Double Stargate? Or, no, will he mix it up a little bit? Maybe go into some sort of a robo play with an Immortal push, like we did see in Submarine? That'd be pretty interesting. I think Pillars of Gold is one of the strange maps for it, because you, as a Zerg player, you do have the easier to take fourth, and with this forward position being very close to your opponent, all things considered, there's just a lot of room to kind of deflect. I think that's all he really has to do here is deflect and counter. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be Twilight Council again. The additional gateways coming down. Oil just going to have a little bit of a faster reaction this time, as we do see the Roach Warren, but we need to see the Roaches. That is even more important. Your workers going down, gets the cancel on the third base. I'd say that's a good trade for him. Okay, yeah, I actually like this change up here. He's going for the Robo Facility, and he's getting charge rather than trying to go for a glaive timing. But what he's also doing is he's warping in these additional Adepts that are kind of selling that this is potentially the same thing coming across. Now, Oil isn't overreacting by any stretch. He's getting the Evo chambers. He's getting the pickoffs on the other side of the map, which is pretty nice. But if he can keep his upgrades relatively equal and also get the roaches in a high enough number, we might see him just try and push through another all-in. And I think if he keeps the creep moving, he'll be able to do it with those queens. Up the rest of the Adepts as well, but they were really kind of just a feint. Yeah, he needs to have a reaction. Definitely. Gonna take a look at that. The mortal count is starting to rise. Speed is going to be finishing up. He's the +1. He sees The Queen's coming around with that Oracle. There will be 2 Immortals in play. Like a little bit of a supply block here. Gonna stop production for a little bit. You know what? We should be seeing a pretty big explosion in Roach energy. Like, hopefully soon, because if he waits any longer, there's gonna be disruptors on the field. And we all saw what happens when Oiltown meets Disruptors. Granted, he still won, but that was a lot harder than it should have been. Hey, look at that. It is that Century Robo Immortal timing that I was thinking about. Now this Oracle sees pretty much everything. He's going to drop down a couple of shield batteries for the defense. This is a pretty nice high ground location where he can kind of fight effectively, but he's got to be careful for the force fields as he doesn't really have that many Ravagers with him. Here we go. The Sentry's going to be forced very far back. The Biles going to take down one almost full energy Sentry, and not that much energy left here, except for one of them. Oracle going on down after the revelation. The Immortal is cut off from the rest of the pack, so that will fall very quickly. And now it's just Ling, Ling, Ling. +1 finishing at the precipice of this attack. Okay, the Immortals have their work cut out for him. Has he pulled the shield battery overcharge just yet? Yes, he has, and that's about to run out. I think Oiltown, with this last big push, has finally done it. He has become the NA Contender champion, and we are going to be watching his career with great interest as the last Immortal falls. The Queens waddling their way to the natural. Even with 2 Disruptors, I don't think that's going to be enough because this area is very open. Gonna fade out, get a couple of those Ravagers killed off. Now he's being a little bit cautious up that ramp. Again, you still can lose quite a bit. One more Disruptor, bringing the total up to 4. Be no more Adepts as soon as that Cybernetics Core falls. He just wants to kind of open up this location in order to really drive home this attack. Another big Disruptor shot. They're all pretty big. And there are a lot of Disruptors now. Oh my goodness. He's losing so many workers. Or, excuse me, losing so many army units. That one does whiff. The Ling's going to get on top of this. The Zealots, though, holding down the fort. Transfuses are needed. I think he almost took down his own Zealots. Ropes are pulled, and oh my goodness, did he hold? For right now, he did. But the follow-up, 18 more Roaches and a Spire. So it was a very Pyrrhic victory, and at the same time, I don't think it was a full-on victory as all because he is stuck on 2 bases. Those probes were not mining for the longest time. Let's take a look at how that fight went. Yeah, Oiltown just barely getting a little bit of the better trade, killing off some of his own Lings as well. Have you heard the story of Darth Oiltown the Rise? You know what? I didn't actually mean to call attention to that scene with that statement, but you know what? I'll take it. So yeah, I think this follow-up is kind of just a killing blow here because even if he does get some beautiful Disruptor hits, Disruptors, like Marauders, like Immortals, like pretty much everything, they do not shoot up. And there's not really that many Archons as well to deal with this. Has he actually seen fire?
The hive cluster is under attack.
Nope.
Face the enemy.
Oh my goodness, I'm seeing the chat. I'm guessing that you guys are just now getting to the hold part, which is nice. But again, Oiltown is completely maxed out. He couldn't make more Mutalisks if he wanted to. He will be going for the next big strike as the Roaches and Lings pressing their way forward. He still hasn't retaken his third base. He still can't because of these Ling run-bys. Yuta's just going to rain fire. Where are those Archons? The correct answer is not where they should be. As we see Cystorm going for a bit of a desperation push here. Looks like they got killed off a Disruptor, I believe. No, it was just the probes, the Void Ray, going to try and pull this back. That's a lot of Colossus firepower. If he can get rid of the Archons, though, that's the end of this game and the end of this series. Even the probes being pulled. One Disruptor hit. Yeah, now the Roaches are on top of this entire army. He should focus fire down the Colossus. Once those are gone, that is pretty much the end of this series. Thank you guys. Thank you Oilstorm, and thank you Cystorm for coming out. As we should be seeing the GG. He's on 24 supply. Congratulations to Oiltown.